So today I'm going to show you how I do a oil filter change on a 530D 2003 e60 BMW. You know the shape there by the lights and stuff. So as always, I'm not a mechanic, but hopefully this will be a bit of a guide, assist anybody who's looking to do this job at home. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is loosening the oil filter cover, which is here, and mine is a 32mm socket that fits down on it nice and snug, just like that. So I shall loosen that now. I might have to pause this for a second because I'm doing this one-handed at the minute with the camera. Okay, wasn't too hard to loosen, but I have it now. So I'm not going to take this all the way out just yet. This always start by loosening that, and then that's it, loose. And then I always just to make sure all the oil in there drains down into the sump. Okay, now we'll go underneath and do the sump plug. Okay, we're now underneath, front, just behind the jack point. You will see this little hatch. If you turn that counterclockwise, it should release the hatch and just hang down like that. I usually just take it off so I can get the bucket in under there properly. A bit of fiddling, it usually comes out. There is the sump plug that we're after. So I'll get a socket here and show you how to loosen that. Okay, it's pretty much the same story as before. 17mm, apologies, socket onto here. Turn anti-clockwise and it should just come loose fairly easily. Again, I'll have to pause the video for a wee second so I can use both hands. So a handy thing to have when you're down here doing this is an oil rag or something to set the sump plug on whenever you pull it out, which I will do now. That's it loose, so I'll do the rest of it by hand. So apologies if my camera angle isn't the best. As you can see, I am just going to turn that by hand now that it's loose. Crack loose very easily. It doesn't have to be that tight. Actually, if you put them too tight, you can strip the threads on the sump itself. So get this nice and loose. The oil's nice and warm because I'll be driving the car. It's starting to come out. As soon as this comes out, it'll just start to pour. Hopefully, anyway. So there should be 8.25 litres comes out of that. I'll give that a wee chance to drain, and then we'll move on to the next stage. So while that's draining, we'll have a look at the sump plug itself. Give it a wee clean there, make sure there's no debris on it. Now, as you can see, there's a little washer on the sump plug, if I can ever get it off. Very easier to do it two-handed. This little copper washer must be replaced before you put the sump plug back in. It forms a tight seal which stops any oil from leaking out. So there's the sump plug there. Now inside of your oil filter that you purchase from the motor factors. There's the oil filter. You get a few things in the box. You get a new copper washer, which must go on there, discard the old one. And this rubber ring is for the oil filter. So I will show you how to put that on as well. So we'll get the new copper washer, the old one has been discarded, into the bin so I don't mix them up. And just plop that down. Nice and clean around the inside anyway, no debris there. That's good to be put back on when the engine is finished draining. So while we're waiting for the engine to finish draining, we'll move on to the oil filter. I've already loosened this, so it will just lift out very easily. Just be careful not to make a mess. And that is it. So we'll have to pop that out. It just comes out of there. We'll have to pop that filter off and we'll put the new one on as well. So once you have the oil filter and housing off the car, basically you just need to pull the oil filter away from the housing. Apologies for my camera angles, by the way, doing this one-handed. This car's just come up on 9,000 miles since I last changed the oil, so the oil filter is still in reasonably good shape. A little bit stiff coming away. I'm trying not to pull it too hard because I don't want it to splat everywhere. Usually with a little bit of persuasion, it will come off. It's not usually this tight, but it usually does come off. A little bit of persuasion, there it goes. So, so there's the old oil filter. As you can see, it's not in that bad shape. It's only done 9,000 miles. Just always check to make sure you haven't pulled off that little rubber ring there and that little rubber ring there when you're doing this. I've seen them come off accidentally before. So the next thing I gotta do is take off this little rubber ring. As you can see going around, there's literally a slot for it. Replace it with a rubber ring that came with the oil filter. So to get it off, it's usually fairly simple. Just get a screwdriver on underneath it and pull it off. So before I put this new ring on, what I want to do is give it a little coating of oil. So I will do that now. So I've literally just dipped this into the bucket of oil that I've just let drain out of the car. Just make sure that's nice and oiled up. A good coating before you put it on. You should probably use fresh oil for this, but I hadn't opened them yet, so I just thought I would use the older oil. It's not that many miles on it anyway, so should be fine. And then you want to put it into that ring that you can see. That space for it there. Make sure it's all the way seated in there before you put your new filter on and put it back in the car. Again, just the reverse of what you did earlier to take it off. It's not that difficult. So that's it. Your new O-ring or rubber ring is in there. I'll just put a wee bit more lather of oil on it before I put that onto the car. So I've actually went ahead and just opened one of the oil cans there and put a nice lathering of fresh oil all around that O-ring. And I'm just going to spin it round just to make sure that it is seated into its groove the entire way. Sometimes an additional light might help with this, so you can see it better. Okay. As you can see, that is seated the whole way. You take the new oil filter. It's a different make than the one I took out, but it is the same for the same car. But always just make sure that you do have the right one before you put it on. And this one should just go on the reverse the way the old one came off. I'll use this on so you can see me better. Just push it down. It should drive home. That's it. So, as you can see, you can know because it lines up there. You'll not see a gap there because it lines up, provided you're using this type of filter, of course. And make sure all your little O-rings are still, the one on the end is still there, hasn't popped off the nice stage. The second one's still there, and obviously the big one is still there before I put it in the car. So, I'm going to be putting my new oil filter back into this compartment here for the cylinder. Dead easy to do. One last check. Make sure everything's in order. And it literally just pops back down into that hole. I'll get a bit of light so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to tighten this up by hand for now. Again, this is not something that you want to be over tightening, and you don't need to over tighten. I don't know the torque that it's meant to be, but I never put it that tight. I'll tighten it up with with some tools here in a little minute. Okay, I'm just using the same tool that I took it off with. Again, as you can see, it's not quite home yet, but you definitely do not need to over tighten this. So there's it tight. I'm just going to give it a little nip. And that does it for me. So, I've slid the oil, or the bucket out anyway. Nice and black. There should be 8.25 litres in there because it was full. Like, you always keep an eye on it. And I'll be putting 8.25 back in again. Had to buy 10, there's always a little bit extra. So the next thing we'll do is put the sump plug back on again. So, get some light on the subjects for us. This has had quite some time. As you can see, it's still dripping slightly onto this cloth, but I'm satisfied that the vast majority of it is out. You can let it drip a bit longer if you wish, just to be totally sure, but it'll probably drip like that for a long time. So, something not equipped with new washer, cleaned, free of debris, to go back into the sump. So I'll just stick it up in there and start tightening it up. It'll stop dripping fairly quickly, basically pretty much as soon as you start turning it. Totally free. That's it. Hand tight now. I have to stress, you do not want to over tighten this. If you over tighten this, you could strip the threads in the sump, which will cause an oil leak. And unless you can re-thread it yourself, you'll definitely end up at a garage paying big bucks to get that fixed. So it's online. I'm not sure what the torque specs for it are, but again, I just nip it tight, and that always does me. So I've quite literally just nipped that tight with my 17mm socket. And I'm happy that isn't tight. You can still see the washer there, which crushes in between. Stops any leaks. So what I'll do first off is just reinsert this little cover. Okay, not tighten that up just yet until I've put the oil back in. Alright, now it's time to put some oil back into the car. I'll just use a little funnel just to make sure I don't spill anything. So, what I'll do is start opening these up. 530 fully synthetic. I know my car takes 8.25 litres, that's why I've bought two 5-litre bottles. So what I'm going to do is basically open them up, pour 8.25 litres into the car, and then start it. So I've now got 8.25 litres poured into the car. That's probably a better idea actually. Thinking about it, to put in maybe half a litre less than it holds, start it, let it sit, check it, etc, etc, but I've always done it this way in my car and I know it always works. So that's the oil drained, the sump plug put in, the oil filter replaced, and the oil replaced. So what I'll do is I'll start it up, check for leaks underneath before I close up the top, and then I'll show you how to reset the oil computer. So we'll go in and we'll reset the computer oil indicator in the car. So this is quite easy to do as well. Turn your ignition to the 2 setting, push and hold the button here. I'll try that again. Push and hold the button. Till the triangle goes up, then keep holding it till that appears. So I'll do it again. Hold the button, triangle appears, goes into the service menu, and then you can cycle through. Brake fluid, oil. As you can see, it still says there's 7,000 miles to go. Front brakes. That's the micro filter. Rear brakes, vehicle check. So we'll go back to oil. So I'm just touching that. Tap, tap, tap to flick through. Once you're back to the one you want, then you push and hold again. That should change. So reset, I let go and I push and hold again. I'll try that again, push and hold. I think I might have screwed that up. I'll go back in it again. Right. Oil. Push and hold. Reset, let go, push and hold again. Alright, hold on. I must be doing something wrong here. Alright, reset. Yes. Hold on. So I'm going to try this again. Oh, I know why. I think it's meant to show the date up here before you can do it. Yes, right. Now the dates, use the check button there to get the date up. Push and hold. Right. Push and hold again. Push and hold again. Well, Paul, I ended up doing that off camera. I'm not sure what I did differently there. I know you have to use this button to make sure the date is up. We'll try and do it again anyway. Get the date up. Push and hold the reset button. Okay. So go through the oil. You basically just hold it there till it says reset, and then you do it again, and it resets. So ignition must be at setting number 2, they'll have all your lights on, and you must have the date showing where the, there. Using this button to do it, as you can see, it changes it. So, as you can see, things always don't go completely to plan. I'm not a mechanic, but I like to do these things to save myself money. Obviously safety first with everything you're doing. If you're not sure, don't try it. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps somebody save a few quid when doing their car oil change.